Yeah, one of the most common questions I get asked, honestly, is what is the best English Bible translation? And no joke, when my wife was delivering our first baby in the hospital, she was in labor. The female doctor was talking to me, and she said, "Now, what is the best English Bible translation?" We had this discussion while my wife was in labor. But I like to tell people we have an embarrassing riches of translations in English. We have so many good translations. So we need to be aware that there are many languages in the world that do not even have one translation. And so the debates that we sometimes have among ourselves are kind of silly in light of that. Now, are there any bad translations? I would say yes. A translation that a cult group has changed the Word of God, that's a bad translation. Like the New World Translation by Jehovah's Witnesses is a bad translation because it's driven by a heretical doctrinal view. But among translations completed by committees of scholars, we really have many different choices. And the best way to explain it is there's a spectrum, and along that spectrum you have some translations that are more word for word, and those are called formally equivalent. And then you have translations that are more meaning for meaning, and that's more functionally equivalent. So on the far end here, more formally equivalent, we would have a New American Standard Bible. A little further back this way, the ESV. Maybe in the middle here, we would have the NIV, and then we go over here all the way to functionally equivalent, more meaning for meaning, the New Living Translation. Now, all those translations I mentioned, I think, are good translations, but they have a different translation philosophy. And so for the New American Standard, for example, if there are 10 words in the Greek, they'll try to have 10 words in the English, and they'll try to follow the same structure of the Greek sentence. Now, sometimes that results in the translation being a little bit harder to read, whereas the New Living Translation, you may have 10 words in Greek, may end up having 15 words in English, and what was a prepositional phrase at the end of the Greek verse may be at the beginning of the English because it sounds more natural there. So I encourage people to have multiple translations and sometimes to compare them. When they differ, explore that further with a study Bible or through reading commentaries. Another way to understand formal and functional equivalence would be with modern languages. So when I've gone to China, I was a teacher in China, one of the greetings in China is "Ni chilima," have you eaten, right? Now, if we translate that very literally, have you eaten, say I'm with a group of Americans and I say, this pastor has asked, have you eaten? And I think they would think, well, does he want to invite us to dinner, or is something wrong? What's going on? Whereas he's basically just saying, hey, we're glad to have you here. What's up? Or is everything okay? And so I could do a New American Standard Translation, have you eaten? I could do a New Living Translation. The pastor says, greetings, he's glad you're here. Right now, both of those are accurate in what I'm intending to do. And so that's one way to think about Bible translation.
Thanks for watching. You can submit your questions by email, Twitter, or in the comments section below. And don't forget to subscribe to find out the answer to next week's question.